Thank you, everybody. Welcome to SpeakuP Monday. Yes, we are late, I know, but look, when you come in person, right, the whole point is you get to meet each other in the audience, and that's where the gold, outside of being over here with tonight's panel, but that's where the gold is. So make sure you come. Over the years, 10,000 people have come to watch this show in person. Out of that, thousands of relationships, business deals, partnerships, both personal and otherwise, have happened. So when you see an episode that for some reason stirs you, that's the one to come to in person here, Tropical Nomad, 6 o'clock, and then you'll get to know other people who are here and make your time valuable and worth it. So tonight's episode 495 is all about mental health. So as you know, we have the Freedom Summit 4 2025 edition. Round of applause, please. You Freedom Summit. So if you have no clue about what that's about, because you've been living under a rock, that's okay. Pretty soon you're going to find out why. If you know already what it's about and how it supports mental health, tonight we obviously, and I'll introduce them, we have Bim Bim from Bali Bersama Bisa, both of them, and obviously DJ here for Right Reasons Funding. And what they've been doing over the number of years that the first mental health hotline in Indonesia was launched, right, which was, again, I remember during COVID or just after COVID, phenomenally important. Thousands of people each day, Indonesian and foreigners, calling in, ringing in, needing support, needing help, right? So this is a very important topic. And as you know, with SpeakuP Monday, it's very important to us as well, because one of the prime reasons for the show was that a quick personal story that in Australia, where I was living for many years, Sydney, still obviously connected, the high-flying hospitality industry, there were 3 guys who are also in that industry doing extremely well, who were the definition of success. The way they looked, the way they acted, their businesses phenomenally successful. I think one had family and kids, but they really looked like, this is what I want to become if you were starting off in that industry. Within 1 year, all 3 committed suicide, and no one saw it coming. So as a result of that, realizing that Monday is at that time the most important day in terms of heart attacks, between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., the largest incidence of heart attacks in the world. And then also, with a little more research, realizing that suicide is incredibly common or popular, attempted suicides on Mondays. So this is part of what started and still drives one of those 3 guiding principles of the show. People inspire people, unity and diversity, entrepreneurship and social impact. And as Guido said before, mental health is weaved in within these, because as we go to AI, as AI takes more and more control of our lives, this challenge that we're facing a tsunami. Right, let's be honest about it. So look, let me just take a bit of time to introduce our wonderful guest and what tonight's show is about. As I mentioned, Freedom Summit 4 2025, Climb for Change, Hike with Purpose. So this week we shine a preview light on mental health in Indonesia with a powerful collaboration for the 4th year in a row. Freedom Summit 4, a mountain climb revolutionizing mental health care and saving lives. From its bold beginnings in 2021, Freedom Summit has grown into a movement. Each year, climbers unite to raise awareness and funds for Bali Bersama Bisa. Together we can. Indonesia's first non-profit mental health service. This year's challenge, an awe-inspiring route across Bali's iconic peaks, including Mount Agung, the Freedom Trail in Desa Ban, and the United Community Climb of Mount Batur. So what started as a trek has become a lifeline, securing the center, that's Summit 1, launching operations, Summit 2, sustaining impact, Summit 3, and now Freedom Summit 4 is a rallying cry to keep the doors open for thousands still waiting for help. Thousands a day still waiting for help. 3 takeaways from tonight's show. Why Freedom Summit is more than a climb. It's a movement that's saving lives. The mental health crisis in Indonesia and how Bali Bersama Bisa is breaking stigma. We had a lady here earlier on was talking about, how mental health in around the world, but also in Indonesia, maybe isn't something that's discussed very often with Asian countries in general, right? So we talk about that stigma, how individuals and communities can join this mission and create real impact. So tonight, to my left, my brother Bim Bim, or Wayan Bim Bim, but we all call him Bim Bim, co-founder of Bali Bersama Bisa, a pioneering non-profit providing accessible mental health support in Indonesia. And then we have Dwayne J. Denton. I always call him DJ Denton, but I guess now is Dwayne. All right, it's cool. It's the name your mother gave you. Founder of Right Reasons Funding, empowering purpose-driven initiatives like Freedom Summit to raise awareness and sustainable support. So look, Freedom Summit 4, a little bit about me, founder of SpeakuP Monday, Destination Indonesia, the #1 in-person and live stream talk show on entrepreneurship and social impact in Indonesia. This is episode 495. You are all invited November 3rd for episode 500. Oh, can't wait. November 3rd, 500 episodes. Recognized, as all good, as Bali's #1 change maker, a top 10 best motivational speaker in South Asia, CEO Insights Asia, and core partner of Health Hub Bali. I think that's enough. Round of applause, please, for a very, very long intro. But that's okay. We don't mind that. So look, let's get straight into it. So Wayan Bim Bim, let's talk to you first. So look, 2021, I remember when it started, right? But let's refresh people's minds, right? So, and I know there's many reasons, so maybe try to keep it to one or two that come up to mind first. Why is Bali Bersama important? And why was it important in 2021 to start it?
Thank you, Rob. Okay, with a flashback story why Bali Bersama Bisa is important. So before that, I will provide a brief short story why we're creating it. Because Bali Bersama Bisa was established based on the evidence base of the struggling of the community here in Bali, who survive and battling our own mental health issue. Yeah, so no matter what the struggling that we got, the stigma around mental health is always huge. So what we got is not support, but we got pushed away from our own community and even our close family, because lack of education regarding mental health, doesn't know what to do to dealing with this situation, and also huge stigma around that. So 10 communities sitting down together, sharing the same story and then struggling, but also have one faith that because we've been trying to ask government, to support our condition, but never established. So it's happening in one decision why we don't creating our own support. Why do we don't create our needed? Why we need to waiting until other people do it for us? So that's why we decide that we need a safe place to get heard regarding our difficulties, struggling, and then with that way we are brave enough to share honestly our voice, what we need and how we can using that support is the main thing, is change life for our community. So not only a community with mental health, but also community with physical disability, blind disability, living with schizophrenia, living with HIV/AIDS, living with cancer and stuff like that, all hitting the same road, attacking our mental health. So when we speak loud about what we need and how the community can support us, like, it's a beautiful thing happening, it's a beautiful community movement, like get connect to us, like what Rob said. Okay, like this man, beautiful man on my left side, we can help you to make it happen. So, okay, let's do it. So that is why, by sharing the truth, the struggling, is connect with the right people and get support from the right people. That's why we make a Freedom Summit 1, the first summit who changed a lot of life of community here in Bali. Supposed to be we do it for our community, but finally it's impacting all the community here in Bali, because we come with one mission: a free mental health for everyone without stigma. That is our mission. No matter what skin you got, lack of religion, race, ethnic, sex orientation, we provide one voice, one purpose, and then so when we get connect with the right people, and then we start feeling a hope, so with the hope that we said, I think we can do this, when DJ stepping up and that we can make this happening. So there is a hope, and then there is a start. When we have hope, we have a willingness to keep doing our part, carry the story, carry the spirit, and then finally it's not helping our own community but also helping the community in Bali through Bali Bersama Bisa, with a program that evidence-based by the all survivor who creating the Bali Bersama Bisa. So the main thing that we create at Bali Bersama Bisa is we providing a safe place, everyone will get hurt, and then with the community support after Freedom Summit 2, Freedom Summit 3, and finally we open the door, provide the first and the only one here in Indonesia, provide a professional free mental health services for everyone. So that's a huge milestone for us here in Bali, that a community in Bali, when we work together, we can creating a magnificent, we can creating a very, very beautiful thing here in Bali, because there is none in Indonesia, and Bali is the pioneer of that. That's why we call it Bali Bersama. In Bali Bersama Bisa is by the community and for the community. So that's all I want to say.
I've known these fellas for some years now, and each time I hear the story, it still puts, when something puts a smile on your face and inside your heart. That's the place, right? A free mental health service for everyone, regardless of ethnicity, sexual persuasion, orientation. That's a huge undertaking. So brother DJ, the question for you, and maybe it's the toughest question, let's see, let's put some numbers and some statistics to this. So of what you remember, or what's current for you at the latest time, how big is this challenge in Indonesia? So we're talking how many people, and then how much money, let's just get straight to it, has it taken, Freedom Summit 1, 2, 3, how much does it cost to run this service, which is saving lives?
All right, so if I was to identify the problem, first, we live in a country that's nearly 300 million people, yeah? So on average, the country averages one psychologist per 300,000 people, yeah? So that is a startling statistic in itself. One psychologist per 300,000 people. Now let's jump into a fairy tale world where people can access that one psychologist, yeah? So in that fairy tale world, people are making more than an average Indonesian salary, because an average Indonesian salary, by the time you get an assessment and see a psychologist one time, there goes 2/3 of your monthly income, and you're going to live hungry, starved, and that's in best case scenario. We still haven't went around about the stigma and the lack of education, the lack of awareness, or the fact that people suffer from bipolar, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, and they have no idea that there's something out there or some way to treat it to be able to live a normal life. Instead, they're shunned into corners. They run, they hide, they're full of shame. They think something's wrong with them, and that's coming from a place of purity. You know, I can speak for myself. Like, I didn't know a way out of my own hell until somebody showed me how. You know, and Bali Bersama Bisa is doing that for a lot of people. So if with the financial aspect, I'd say we're a bit over $500,000 deep into this process, but that's impacted over 20,000 people. And I'll save some of the heart-wrenching stories, because the 20,000 people, that speaks for itself. You know, that is one hell of an impact for an island this size. I'm not including Bisa, the helpline, and the impact numbers. Those are people who have accessed the service directly through a support group, through seeing a psychologist, coming to one of our well-being activities, or engaging in positive lifestyle choices with something that Bali Bersama Bisa has on offer. Yeah. So that speaks for itself. But the way that I've been able to witness the breaking of stigma through interactions with other people and businesses over the last years is something that really warms my heart, to say the least. And I'll save some of them for a bit later in the conversation.
You know, I like the idea of saving stuff for later, but I also like the idea of just doing it now. But it's not what you think, because in all the years we've known each other, I think I may have asked this question once, maybe, but you said before, you know, about your personal hell, right? And you know, you needed help to be pulled up. Now, if you look at this guy, you see a fit fella, right? And I've seen this guy do assault courses and all this CrossFit, but the next high rocks, right? High rocks. He is supremely. He's like an athlete. This guy, right? He speaks deeply. When he speaks, you listen. Right? He has that voice like my brother here, but for a different reason, which is magnetic. So when you look at someone like him, and again, I'm not going to put these two together, which means I'm going to put them together, but it's not for you, right? These guys in Sydney look the same. Beautiful, two of them, beautiful looking guys, like handsome, model looking guys, right? Businesses, ultra successful, right? And honestly, if you were in that region, you wanted to be like him, like them. And then obviously I told you what happened. So when I look at you, brother DJ, and I see a strong man, I see a confident person, I see someone who's able to speak, to hold himself with that vibe of a superstar, right? Because this is what you do. Tell us your story into this and what happened. Yeah.
Well, into Bali Bersama Bisa is a story in itself, right? But if I was to talk about my own personal battles, I guess I was fortunate enough or unfortunate enough to have mental health issues around me growing up as well. In saying that, that's probably what saved my life at some point, because I knew that other family members had accessed professional help at some point in their life, right? Being a man, I come from a small farming community in the Midwest of America. It's called Dodge City, actually. It's the cowboy capital of the world. So I grew up farming, driving tractors, wrestling cows, all that kind of stuff. So on the farm was not a place for vulnerability. And sorry, I'm getting ready to Instagram. Sorry. Sympathy was found between shit and syphilis in the dictionary, not on the farm. Yeah. So it was this state of manhood, or this ego, or false personality that I identified with and ingrained within me, did not allow me to ask for help, right? But when I'd ran myself off the deep end of the road and there was nowhere left to turn, right? I was probably looking at jail here in Bali, and there was just a whole compound. I had nowhere left to turn, right? I waved the white flag and I said, I need help. And obviously to this day, that was the best decision of my life. Yeah.
You know, and just to go a little bit deeper, you know, because again, there may be people watching this, and again, you never know. And one of the things that I've learned over the years, with all the different things that life has called me to do, you never know by looking at someone, right? You think you do, but you don't. and that hurts, right? So when you just see other people that have come in, and maybe now I think it's time for one of the stories, and we'll get Bim Bim to come in a second. What is it? Let's talk about men for a second, that stops men. Now, we've spoken already, about the stigma, and we've spoken about, you growing up in the Midwest and cowboy capital, right? This is masculinity at its finest, but what is it that stops men from coming clean and realizing that they need help? Because the fact that you knew you needed help and were able to reach out speaks volumes about you, right? But I think there's many people that they're just not in that position. You know what I mean? So then the question is that what is it that you think, maybe from personal experience, stops men from reaching out? And then that will kind of tie into a story that you feel like sharing for Bali Bersama Bisa, and then we'll come back to our brother Bim Bim.
All right, it would just be the belief system that says you're weak if you're asked for help. That's the biggest thing, and it's more than, like, I use the terminology belief system, but for a lot of like friends and acquaintances and people I've grown up with, it wouldn't have been an option, and the thing is, again, it's monkey see, monkey do, right? Like, I'm a firm believer that I needed, and some of the tools and things that were explained to me in the very beginning of my journey of recovery of mental health was like so obvious, right? Like these things, like take a break in the morning, stop looking at your phone, take some time for you. It's like, oh yeah, okay. And how's that going to help me right now? Like I have zero to no understanding of how journaling in the morning is going to make me better. Like, can't you see I'm about to take my own life, and I don't know how to live? I don't know how to do basic life things of like shopping, of like feeding myself, of regularly showering. How's journaling gonna help me, right? But by being willing to listen to other grown men and people that I can idolize in some shape or form, I'm like, okay, this 6 foot something monstrosity that's done a lot of jail time and looks like something on the cover of Vogue magazine and has a large bank account telling me to journal, maybe I'll try it, and so by taking these baby steps, all of a sudden my life changed.
And look, brother Bim Bim, let me give this back to you. So DJ didn't get there because I know that it's for you, my brother. Give us, one of the stories that comes up for you of someone who reached out, the situation that they were in, and then how being in the presence of Bali Bersama Bisa helped them to overcome. Right, to find a way through the jungle that they were in.
Yeah. So back again to the main purpose of what is Bali Bersama Bisa is we provide a safe place to everyone to get hurt. Yeah. So mostly happening in here, do my own battle with my own mental health. Like there is no space, there is no place where I can feel hurt. That pushes me away. Try to deal with my own stuff with my own head, who creating problem. Just that never work. And then just giving up is one of the option. Like that's why I experienced in the past like multiple times suicide attempt, but based on the experience and also from other community who relate and having the same experience, we're creating a safe place. So what we're doing in Bali Bersama Bisa, when people struggling and asking for help, we receive them, we hurt them, and then we're building the trust. After they unload their own baggage on their head, slowly with the direct, with the help of the professional, we provide and we created a treatment plan for them that they agree. So it's back again, how we can help someone if we cannot provide that trust. It's impossible. Because in mental health, for me, the main thing is that I feel safe to express who I am, to share the truth, what I'm struggling with. And then when I got the trust, I'm willing to open and willing to do what is suggested to me. Like in Bali Bersama Bisa, we not only giving the psychotherapy. What this is quite extreme what we're doing, you know. Like we receive someone reaching out, we do the brief initial assessment, we creating the treatment plan, we provide the professional mental health care. After that, we also have community to giving a peer support each other. That's why we creating mental health well-being. We provide daily activity for free because we need that connection still happening before they come back to their own community or their family. Because the support that we got, we receive from the peer who experience the same situation, the same challenging, the same difficulties, but having a same purpose to recover. That changed people's life. Because we've been we doing this with a lot making mistake here. We think only giving professional mental health care will help them to maintain the recovery, but some help, some no. So we keep thinking, okay, we make mistake here. We need to add more activity. We need to reach out to the corporate studio, yoga studio, gym, something like that, because that's part of the treatment plan, you know. Not only dealing with the difficulties, but also provide a stage to maintain their own recovery before they can manage the stuff. What we're doing in Bali Bersama Bisa, we provide support, love, until the community who's struggling can support and love themselves. That is what we're doing in Bali Bersama Bisa.
You know, I love that, brother. Now, I asked you both. You both missed it. So this is the last time I'm going to ask you, okay? Just give me one. Come on. So one example, right? No names, obviously. So person who came in, how did they find you, right? What were they experiencing, and how did they overcome it through the work of Bali Bersama Bisa?
All right, so I'm going to tell the story, and I'm not going to go into the person's own mental health struggles. What I'm going to do is say what happened on the other side, right? So I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, so I don't work directly with the individuals. My job is to keep the organization afloat, yeah? So anyway, I'm in a meeting with a large hotel group, yeah? And so we're going out around the room, and everybody's introducing themselves, and it came to a young girl that was a digital marketing representative, and she said, "Hi, my name is this, and I'm getting help at Bali Bersama Bisa." So for those of you who are unaware, like this was what impacted me personally more than seeing the recovery cases, like, you know, one person succeed here, one person succeed there, because this girl was getting help for her mental health. She spoke about mental health in front of her manager, the owner of the hotel, and not only did she speak about it, she spoke that she was getting help, you know. And I can say with 100% certainty there was a 0% chance of that happening before Bali Bersama Bisa. Through events like this, and through talks like this, and through us accessing corporates, them sharing all of this, I believe that we've already destigmatized mental health in Bali tenfold from what it was in 2021, and the job is just beginning. Yeah, let's be reminded of those numbers previously spoken, right? So in that, just somebody having the confidence in front of their employer to speak about ill mental health and that they're treating it is something new to Indonesia, and that was a direct result of the work that we're doing. Nothing makes me prouder than that.
Love it. But Brother Bim Bim, is there anyone that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So finally, I get your question. Hopefully, you got your answer. Yeah.
So there's a moral to the story, right?
Yeah.
Never give up.
Yeah.
No. Sometimes you should, but I wasn't prepared to. And thank you for answering the question.
Yeah. So it's through the community, how the community works. So when the community working together is amazing thing happening. Like my own personal phone is keep ringing when someone reaching out asking for help. So there is one time in the morning, like my phone was ringing, and then I answering, and then, is this Bali Bersama Bisa? I say yes. I want to take my life. I'm stuck. What I'm doing is because I was training how to deal with this kind of situation through our suicide prevention helpline in the past. So I said, I'm dealing in the right manner, and then I mean it. Because when he reaching out, he crying, asking for help. And then do you know where is Bali Bersama Bisa? I say, yes. Come see me. And that man is in 10 minutes, he knocking the door. Where's Bim Bim? I said, so we sit down in the back, have a cigarette, have coffee. That is how we dealing in a local community. I have coffee and cigarette, and then from that cigarette, we talk deep. And then finally, we managed to refer him to access free inpatient rehabilitation for 3 months. And then the first thing that he doing when he graduated from the inpatient treatment is not go home, but go to Bali Bersama Bisa and crying. You guys changed my life. You guys saved my life. Because that kind of situation is also remind me about when I was desperate and lost hope in the past, when one hand grabbed me and believed with what I'm being went through, I'm still here with you guys. So carry that spirit in Bali Bersama Bisa is a huge thing for me, because small action can change people's life, like just provide a place. So that's why we keep doing this. I keep pushing DJ. You need working hard. This place need to be extended every year, because no matter what struggling, no matter how much arguing we have in the table during the meeting, but when that people coming looking to their own food, and then after 2 weeks treatment start smiling on their lips, that's made my day. That's make me have courage and power to keep continuing this. But I cannot do it alone. We cannot do it alone. We need every one of you here to do it together with care, because together we can. Yeah. Hopefully that answer.
Well, I'm here like holding back tears. Yeah, I think you answered the question. Round of applause, please, for brother. Mamma mia. It's interesting because I think each one of us somewhere has been impacted by mental health somewhere. And it may be a cousin, maybe a friend, maybe a distant friend, maybe a relative, or someone much closer, your partner. My mum has schizophrenia. I've mentioned that before here, but wow, just it's causing me to remember things that I haven't remembered for like a while. But I think it's time to change, to move gear. Freedom Summit. This is number 4. And you mentioned before, DJ, that since 2021, you're $500,000 in. Just so everyone is aware that this thing ain't cheap, right? So, Right Reasons Funding, what you've managed to do to create a market where there was not one before is to help charities which have great causes, right, to raise funds, to raise money for them to stay afloat, right? So Bali Bersama Bisa, you mentioned the number, we mentioned, why it's so important. And the thing that makes me smile about you is that you do it in interesting ways, right? So earlier on, we had, one of the corporate directors of Global Extreme, our brother Ferry, and Ferry and I, we speak about this stuff a lot, and he is, I'm going to say it on camera, but this is how it is. He goes, the best guy in Bali when it comes to why we support and sponsor these events is DJ, because he does this, and this with a cherry on top, and that's only halfway there. There's not half to go, right? So my question for you, right Reasons Funding, number one is, why did you decide to do it? Why is it important? And why do you come up with such incredible ways of doing it, which I think are brilliant because they're keeping you healthy as well as raising money? So that triple question there again was, why is it? Why is it important? And how do you come with such imaginative and creative ways of doing it?
Yeah, to answer that and to say that I have the answer would be a lie, I basically was put in a fortunate position in Bali back in 2016 where I started an international foundation here and grew it to be quite successful. And during the COVID pandemic, I was watching these guys from the outside and I was stuck doing, let's say, for lack of better words, peach reports, and that wasn't setting very well with me, as I'm filling out the peach reports and raising funds and basically the impact had been taken away from me, or at least the feel of the impact had been taken away from me, right? And so next to that, I said my best decision was waving the white flag. Yeah. So now I'm going to say my second best decision was stepping away from the corporate workplace and finding freedom within empowering others and helping the world be a little bit better place. So, again, watching these guys from the outside, I was like, the heart was like, man, it was unreal, right? They were so invested, and like even as somebody battling mental health, something that I'd never thought about was like, what is the mental health associated with being diagnosed with cancer, or being HIV positive, or being blind in a place like Bali? I mean, like, try walking on these streets with two eyes. Yeah. Anyway, you get my point, right? You get my point. And in saying that, I was like, all right, I think I can take their idea and make it a reality, right? So that was Freedom Summit 1, and one thing Bim didn't mention is that was COVID times. We were under a lockdown called PPKM when the Freedom Summit was scheduled to take place. This Freedom Summit has had issues. Let me tell you about that. So anyway, PPKM had 60 people signed up. They said you can't have people gathering in groups of 10 or larger. So I said, okay, I'll break it up over 5 weekends, and I will climb the mountain on Saturday, and I'll bring that group home safely with a crew of people, climb it again on Sunday, and then the following weekend I'll do it over again. For 5 weeks straight I did that to get this off the ground. So I climbed the mountain a total of 12 times in 5 weeks time, and Bali Bersama Bisa was born, and I find enjoyment in the suffering. It's a common what do you want to say? It's a common ground that I know really well. And
enjoyment in the suffering. Take that one away with you.
And if my suffering can help somebody else get out of theirs, let's go, you know, like, so I've been able to create a lot of very successful events across the island that's raised a few $1 million and done incredible things. But Beam and my brothers at Bali Bersama Bisa still have the #1 position in my heart, and we are going to revolutionize mental health in this country by the time we're done. Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you very much. Whew. Questions are going to come up in a few minutes. So if you have a question, just raise your hand, and we've got one other mic, which you spoke on before. Now you're probably thinking that I set you up. Well, you'll be right. I did. It's like, So now you know how to speak on these mics, right? So not this. All right? And not this. We can't hear you. So remember, close to your mouth and speak up. It's okay. It's SpeakuP Monday. You're allowed to do that. So the way we ask questions is, you are so welcome to plug what you do, right? My name is Rob. I am a blah, 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 right? My company name is blah, 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 blah. Fine, no problem. But then get straight to your question, right? That way then we can have more value, more questions, more value, and more people served both online and offline. Make sense? I think that's a yes. So last question, and then think about your question, raise your hands, and we can go for it. So my brother Mario over there, let's take him out of it. We have young kids, right? 16, 17. Bali, my kids are 11 and 9, right? 9 and 11. But it's a common theme here that in Bali, that when the kids reach 15, 16, 17, they're kind of not off the rails, but they're ordering alcohol on certain platforms and so on and so on and so on. There are challenges, right? What in your experience have you noticed about how to treat those younger kids, right? Or younger adults, the 16, 17, 18 age range? What do you find has been helpful in your dealings and your relationship with that age range here in Bali?
I would just say, the #1 thing is a parent or anybody is to set an example, and I would reiterate what I talked about with my upbringing and the conditioning. Right, I believe as a parent, if you teach your kids their tools for emotional welfare, and you get vulnerable with them as well and tell them your truths and some of the things, it opens up the bottle, so to say, for them to be able to speak theirs as well, right? I mean, let's be honest, if it's alcohol and stuff like that, that's almost unavoidable. They're going to have their experiences, but teaching them from a position of learning rather than a position of listen to me, anytime anybody's ever told me, like, listen here, boy, do it this way, the first thing I do is walk the other way and do the opposite of what they say. For us from a mental health facility, it's slightly difficult to speak on because we can only focus on adults legally without the parents' consent. Yeah, and I would say like this, that our supply is meeting the demand. Yeah, we need help to create a bigger supply to meet the greater demand, and I want to say, like, within 2026 we will be doing a lot of outreach within the expatriate schools, teaching programs to let them know that it's okay, and the tools brought from Australia here that have been proven through university studies and things like this. Prior to coming here today, I was meeting with one of the directors of Lifeline Australia and the founder of CCC, which is Sri Lanka's crisis support center, now with 3 centers across Australia, and he has a lot of modalities and proven methods that we can integrate into Bali Bersama Bisa to make this more effective, more impactful for the same amount of money.
And if you want to add to
Yeah. Yeah. So, like DJ mentioned, at Bali Bersama Bisa, we only treat the adult mental health, but we also receiving the need, from the community, because we provide free mental health services. So what happened when the need is around the young one, the teenager, but we not stop, because if you guys found out, if you guys notice, where is the safe place? Where is the place where everyone going back home, to the family? So when we found a case like that involve the youth or the teenager needs, what we offer is the professional mental health care for the parents. We treat the parents how they can accept the condition of their loved one, how they can treat and provide the trust. So on the same time, we also teach the parents how to dealing with the difficulties with their loved one. That can prevent and also provide first thing to save their loved one. On the same time, we also link up with the other charity or NGO who specially work with the youth, something like that. So we still taking care of that one, because what we're doing to the family, so the parent, is teach them to provide that safe place. Maybe that is lack, so they can try to find what is lack outside through other things. So that is what we're doing in the Bali Bersama Bisa.
So just before we go to questions real fast, English and Indonesian? Okay, just because some people will ask that question. So English support is available in English and Indonesian. We're in Indonesia. Indonesian and English. Questions. Now, just before the questions come, just to let you know that you will be on camera, right? So there's a camera over here that swivels. So if you have a very private question and you don't want to bring it up, you can save it for afterwards. If you do have a question, feel free to raise your hand, because other people maybe will have the same question, but maybe not having the courage to ask it, right? So Brother Guzman, we've got two. So we'll start with Bav, and then we'll go over here to Tanzania.
Can I just jump in here real quick? Because the one thing that we did not talk about is Freedom Summit itself, right? So
we have time for that, but you can go.
Yeah. Okay. So this is an event taking place October 17th through 20th, where members of the community will climb anywhere between 1 and 3 mountains. So you can choose something that works for you. If you don't want to climb mountains at all, that's okay too, right? You can come and camp with us and just be of support, right? So the 17th through the 20th, we will climb Mount Batur, Mount Agung, and Mount Agung. Yeah. So by you showing up, coming and joining us, you could potentially end up saving a life, and I would say just as valuable is the community that comes out year after year in this Freedom Summit adventure. Is like, the value is unparalleled. I make better friends through the Freedom Summit year after year than I do in the remainder of the year, because it's back to that thing I said. We bond during suffering. The human condition of suffering is very familiar, and we're going to have a little bit of suffering as we hike ourselves up and over 3 mountains. But don't worry, you will be supported. It will be fun, and we'll get through it together. So Freedom Summit 4, October 17th through 20th.
Love it. And how do people join?
I reckon you can chuck it in Instagram, Freedom Summit 4, and there you're going to find ways to join. So it's basically just a registration link. So the way that it works is, like, let's say Beam Beam signs up. So all of a sudden Beam Beam signs up. My team builds Beam Beam's Freedom Summit page. So then Beam Beam goes and says, hey, I'm going to be climbing 3 mountains for mental health in Indonesia. Can you please support my suffering? And then Beam Beam's mom, his brother, his sister, his cousins, his bosses, and people like Global Extreme donate.
And if you're a company outside of Global Extreme, the best Wi-Fi in Indonesia, or Bali at least, how can companies join into this?
Yeah, so we create generous sponsorship packages where we not only give them exposure through the event with the normal things of like logo and videos and all that kind of stuff, but we also give back to the company with mental health awareness trainings for that company. So again, addressing that problem of the lack of awareness, lack of education. So we give them in return these trainings so that their management can identify the common signs and symptoms of basic mental health disorders in the workplace and have the tools to communicate with the person around it. And thanks to the work of Bali Bersama Bisa, those people can access professional help for free. So that in combination with the exposure, I don't know why more companies don't get involved. I heard a few people say I have a company, so let's make that happen.
Thank you, my brother. So, Sister Bob, the first question. Yeah.
So thank you both for being here and sharing so authentically and vulnerably. And I know we talked about Freedom Summit, and I feel like we've talked a lot about sort of the current state of things and and there's a lot of hope. The question I have is a two-parter, but it's related. Was for those of us who are here in the audience, but a lot of people who are tuning in online and us who are going to amplify this message, what is one thing that either one of you or both of you is in the current state immediately scared about, frightened about? And the second is, what are you most excited about? And how can foreigners who are residing here or who are abroad and locals be a part of helping solve for what you're frightened about and be a part of what you're excited about?
Well, I love this question. It's very fitting for the times, of what Bali Bersama Bisa is experiencing right now. So Bali Bersama Bisa grew really quickly, and we created a big team, and we went with an idea, and as Bim Bim says, sometimes we create mistakes, So we currently have quite a big team, and it could potentially look like that team downsizing over the next little while, not in the sense of impact, but in the sense of operational resources. So this has been one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make, right? But in saying that, I've learned so much, and I see the North Star in sustainability. So it's not only the answer to question one, but it's the answer to question number two as well, because once we get this issue sorted out, we're going to be able to scale across Indonesia, and we're going to be able to really start to do what we set out to do. Does that make sense?
It does. So if someone was like, hey, I want to be a part of that, what does that look like?
Again, I would say dependent on their skill sets. So I mean, if you're a marketing representative, if you can help us spread the word, I mean, that's huge already, right? Because in the land of NGO, awareness equals income, and awareness equals stigma broke in the mental health field. So any kind of help with marketing. If you have hiking boots, it obviously looks like coming and climbing with us at Freedom Summit 3. If you're a therapist, maybe it's volunteering your time for Western clients that reach out to us. I mean, again, let's tailor make something that works best for the individual, right? If an individual comes in and is motivated to make a difference, and they have any kind of skill set, they can do it. You're looking at a farmer, I think enough said.
Amazing. Thank you.
Beautiful question, sister. Thank you. I think Carol behind you had one as well. Yeah.
So I work predominantly with young men, millennial men, and what I found is that they have friendships with other men, but their friendships are pretty superficial. So what I would love to know is how you grew to have a friendship between the two of you. And what would be 3 characteristics of what you would call a supportive, deep friendship with a man? And also, as part of a deep friendship, vulnerability is usually very, very important. So what does vulnerability look like for you? And for these men, could you give a practical example of what it looks like to sound vulnerable with another man.
Now, we know that is one hell of a beautiful 5 questions popped into one. So we'll just take one question at a time. So what were your first 2 questions?
The question is about friendship. How do you build deep and supportive friendship with another man?
Great. We start there, and we do one each. So Bim Bim.
So what?
How do you build a deep and supportive friendship with another man?
Okay. How I build that friendship. So, can I use the example how we build our friendship? So, yeah. I hope this is not breaking the anonymity. So, I'm addict in recovery. So, since early young age and stuff, I've been struggling with my own addiction and mental health.
Guzman.
And then finally I found support. And then when I connect with another addict who have the same goal in the life, like achieving recovery, that is the root base of my friendship. Experience and suffering the same thing in the past, but try to achieve a same goal for the next.
I can jump in here, and I would say for me the greatest thing that I've added to my toolkit is that vulnerability and honesty, right? As soon as I'm able to be honest about the way that I really feel with another man, remove all this, I can talk CrossFit, I can talk hunting, I can talk all that stuff, but I can also talk about how I'm not sure if I'm a good father today, if I was a good father yesterday, and I can tell you what conversation is going to give me a meaningful conversation, right? And then like through the meaningful conversations, potentially getting an answer that's going to help me with those kids or with my current situation, right? That maybe either treats the problem, eliminates the problem, or increases my quality of life in some way, shape, or form. That's somebody I can look towards as a friend. Yeah.
To any man who is afraid of jumping, of opening, of being vulnerable, what would be your advice to develop that friendship?
It's a hard thing to do, right? Like, I took this skill set into the CrossFit gym. I take it everywhere I go, right? And all of a sudden, when I become vulnerable, it gives you or the people around me the ability to be vulnerable as well. And so by me opening up at the picnic table outside of the CrossFit gym with 10 different macho men around, all of a sudden somebody's talking about daddy issues, and it's like, if you've seen the 10 of us like standing against a wall or doing whatever, squat, snatch, or whatever these things we do, you would be like, oh, manly men, but at that table it was a little bit different story, and there's a little bit of tears in eyes, you know what I mean? So I think it takes a bit of bravery, but once you've done it once, and once you've been accepted for doing it and engage the other people in that similar way, it becomes a commonality and a principle of life to work from. Yeah.
All right, two. Is that not, okay? Yeah, Mario. Yeah, thank you, Carol. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. So, if you would give an advice to each one of us, let's say a friend of ours call us and said, like, I want to commit suicide. What is your advice? What should we do first? Because I had an experience about a year ago. A friend of mine told me, I want to kill myself. I cannot live without her. Yeah. And I just thought, like, come on, grow up, man. He wants like some attention, like acting like a teenager. I thought, just he suicide 2 days after. I had no clue whatsoever. Yeah, but I think this is mental health. Then I think it's as hard as it can get. It will lead you to take your life away, right? So, and I advise, what should we do if this happen again? And a friend of ours goes like, I want to kill myself. What do we do if we don't have your contact? We don't know you, and we have nobody that knows something about it. What should we say?
Yeah. First thing that I always said when I'm facing that situation is, when I heard that on the phone straight away, one thing that I always said, thank you for brave enough to reaching out and being honest with me. I'm here for you. Would you like to talk? Because I cannot do much in that situation. What I can do is be there and listening. Be there and listening, and then not listening, like truly listening. Eye contact, body language. Create the safe place. Because when the load is getting set into the safe place, then that person can figure out what is the best for them. But also, sometime in the situation, that depend of the faster, moderate crisis, because treating like have suicide thought, already having suicide attempt, but reaching out, that is need a special training for doing that, to dealing with that kind of stuff. But the first thing is, what I'm doing is asking myself, I am in a good place to dealing with this situation. But your question is how you answer that stuff. Just said thank you for brave enough to reaching out. That will break the ice. It's that simple.
Thank you for the question, brother. Where's the microphone now? So back over there. So we got Tangelina, but just we'll keep it here, and then we'll go over to your sister Tangelina. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you so much for all the information and wisdom. As someone who's just here wanting to help and serve, whether that be through starting my own foundation, which is very green, or collaborating, or any way I can help, what are the biggest holes? Where's the biggest need within the education system, within the community? I'm just curious.
Bali's the land of foundations, yeah? There's a foundation here for everything, right? The thing is that they leave a lot of room for error, right? Like, I think the biggest misconception is something that I fight against consistently is that impact-driven NGOs should be volunteers, people shouldn't be paid, all of that. Like, that's all nonsense, right? If you really want to make an impact, you got to look at it from a business perspective, right? How am I going to make this work, right? Like, what product do I have to actually sell, you know? And at the end of the day, it's not a lot that you have to sell. So it's that's the first thing I would say, like, to identify. And I mean, we're sitting up here talking about mental health for a reason. Yeah, like all across Asia, it's stigmatized and there's a lack of resources. But Indonesia ranks at the very bottom globally, below Uganda, below places in Africa. Indonesia's at the bottom, like the bottom. Yeah. So if we want to say what areas need help, you're looking at it, you know, and it starts with education, right? So you have both ends of the spectrum, right? You have like prevention and maintenance, you have the crisis, and then what we're actually doing, I would actually potentially call it the post, yeah? So the people coming to us have already asked for help, right? So they're receiving treatment to stop from going here, right? So we also need help in creating this side, right? So like I mentioned before, I believe in 2026 this will be a big part of our focus, and we need people like you to be able to help us facilitate this, you know, whether it's in a local school, expat school. And we're talking about Bali, you know, Like, Indonesia's big. Yeah. I'm here to empower. I'm here to give the gifts that were given to me. If somebody was serious about making an impact and wanted to start a branch in Jakarta, Surabaya, and they're motivated to do this from the inside out, I'm here to make that happen for you. Yeah. So let's do it together, right?
Awesome. Thank you.
Beautiful question. Thank you, darling. We're swinging across over here to our sister Tangelina. Brother Guzman can unite. Just while we're doing that, so you're watching episode 495, SpeakuP Monday, Destination Indonesia. Our episodes and our work has been endorsed by the ministry, recognized and endorsed by Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of Indonesia, Bali Tourism stakeholders, Startup Grind, Founder Institute, and many more. So I just want to thank the 1,000+ guests which have gone before. I want to thank people like Sister Bhavna, Sister Carol, who have played a part in being co-hosts for episodes. I want to thank the 10,000+ people which have shown up as you have in person over the years, playing a part, right? The questions are the key, because ultimately, as one person with one brain, when we sit here and we create this vortex, we are leveraging off of all of you here, right? So any question that's asked is a synthesis of that vortex that has been created by you showing up. Otherwise, if it's a podcast and just the three of us talking, I'm sure there'll be value there, but it's a very different experience that's created and generated out of the same period of time. For me, this is the ultimate leverage, which is why we always started like this and we'll keep on going like this, because it's so many different elements which come together, as opposed to just the three of us sitting in a studio having a conversation, which is still very valuable, right? So thank you again. And obviously, Brother Guzman, our brother, round of applause for Brother Guzman, Tropical Nomad, technical partner for the last 317 episodes from memory. So as we go over now, Sister Tangelina, your question.
Hi, guys. I want to say thank you for your bravery. And this is such a tsunami of an issue. And my company focuses on preserving Balinese culture and heritage through its artisans. And something that we're really excited about doing is partnering with organizations who are creating resiliency for the Balinese people. Of course, there's like a lot of issues with the modernization, but as you've pointed out, this is a really substantial situation. Is also there's the tradition and the indoctrination that has happened from a proud culture as well. There's always the light and the dark, it's that beautiful checkered fabric that the Balinese people wear that's on the streets, the white and the black, that the Sakala Niskala. And I'm just like, really, I'm curious about this tsunami situation. And you mentioned that there's a wait list of people. So that's however many, possibly thousands of people who are untreated. And I'm wondering if you kind of vaguely answered that question with the sister over here, her question before about what you're afraid of and excited about. But I'm wondering if you have a game plan for those beautiful untreated mysteries. And the second question I have is, are you working with EMDR and brain spotting? These are two very valuable techniques. I utilized brain spotting myself personally for about 3.5 years to get to the point of such good mental health that I could have a family, I could get married. They're huge technologies, and so if I can actually provide a pathway to this resource, but if you guys are utilizing it, that's two of my questions. Are you using that particular therapy? And what is this tsunami, and do you have a plan?
You understand the tsunami? You understand the question of tsunami? You can. No, that's yours. So let me rephrase your question slightly for Bim Bim to understand. So basically what she's identifying is that the ancient heritage and the culture clash with something such as free mental health services, like in the black and the white, right? Like so she's suggesting that, like, how do we, I'm gonna say, how do you plan on handling this? Like how the culture, it doesn't really identify mental health, right? Okay. And like the spirituality or whatever, you know, kind of. Okay.
Yeah. So there is situation like that happening, yeah, in our community. So I will try to do my best to explain to you. So in Bali Bersama Bisa, we've been supporting and working together with the Psychiatrist Association, and we are all facing the same dilemma about how spirituality and mental health can working along together. Because
yeah, keep that there.
Yeah, how we can working along together. What we can do is we creating bring the awareness, we bring the education, yeah, about mental health, and we also approach like the community in the village, like pemangku, and the top one is pedanda, the top level of that one. So we have the gathering and we creating the workshop relating mental health, not try to competition, but how we can delivering together with the philosophy of Bali, which was Trihita Karana, something like that. So that is what we are planned, and we are already ongoing doing, like building that bridge between the spirituality, the culture of Bali, and modernization about mental health. How we can bring that one? We bring a statistic and evidence base. There is a young mother come to the center, lost, cannot speak, nothing, and finally he just born a baby bloom. Baby blues, you call that one? Yeah. That not recognized by the community. That not recognized by the family. What the family do, the parent-in-law do, is grab the baby and push her away. That's black magic with you. Bad spirit, not good for the newborn. She was desperate. She was walking, and finally arrived in Bali Bersama Bisa, and we recognized our psychologists recognized there's baby blues, and then we provide treatment. 3 months after that, she coming back to the community with the baby. We encourage her to spread her journey through the close family, to start looking for help with evidence based like that. That is the way that we can sit down and bring up, this is what we found in the community, but how we can work together to prevent this thing happening again. We bring the what, how we can collaborate, how we can deliver this thing, because the community base in Bali is quite strong in belief with the spirituality. That is our challenging, but that challenging not stopping us. We found the way how to. That's why we go to the one village, one banjar to another banjar, speak about mental health.
Well said, Bim Bim. And on the second part of your question, I'm not familiar with those tools, so if afterwards you would like to let's exchange contact, and we have a mental well-being program where we bring in alternative therapies, holistic well-being therapies on a regular basis, providing workshops and training modules for our community to become equipped with the most modern tools and alternative tools. So we're trying to integrate, holistic well-being with spirituality. I actually believe there's a huge, beautiful benefit of somebody having spirituality, or I'll even go with this word, God, in their life. It's a different way of treatment that sometimes can be easier, and strength was found within that. Let's exchange contacts, and we're happy to have somebody involved that has something that we don't know. Yeah.
Thanks, Tangeline. I mean, one of the beautiful things as well is that the first Monday of every month, SpeakuP Monday is a Health Hub Bali association collaboration. So there's also opportunities there. Yeah, you met Tracy the other day, Bim Bim. So there's opportunities there as well for some kind of collaborative effort towards this. And as you mentioned, you have that. You're open to it, right? You're open to learning, you're open to collaboration with modalities that work, right? Where there's a track record, nothing fishy, something which has been proven, ideally scientific as well. So this is very, very good. Now, are there any other questions? Yes, you have the mic. That's great. Just speak a bit louder.
Okay. So this question is for all three of you. You've already shared some tips, but I also wanted to maybe dive deeper on that topic. You said, so my question would be, what kind of advice would you give to someone who is not only about to start their social entrepreneurship, but continue with it? You've already shared some tips that it's best to maybe join forces, or maybe see if someone else is doing something. You've also mentioned that if it's something with a social impact, it still has to be a business to sustain it. But maybe from a mental health perspective, how do you maintain strength to continue moving forward?
What I love is that both of them look at me and say, "Hey, you're going, man. You're going first." Fine. So let me using your vernacular today. Let me rephrase the question. So this was based around kind of how do we keep going in our chosen social impact profession, right, on a daily basis. So look, for me, it's very much related to my past. So as I mentioned, I think in a conversation we had before, this whole SpeakuP Monday, right, is entrepreneurship and social impact. And as I mentioned, we're approaching episode 500 pretty soon. And, it's a passion that became an obsession, and it still is an obsession. So for me, what drives me is that I know that this is what I'm supposed to do. Right? And if I have any doubt whatsoever, all I need to do is look back. So a quick story, which I think a few people know now here. So I grew up in 2 children's homes, like an orphanage, in London, from 6 months of age to 18 years of age, 17 and a half to be precise, in London. And all the colors of the rainbow. I was the only black kid at school for the first 13 years. Yet the children's home was pejoratively black, right? But I didn't feel black. I felt like a white kid trapped in a black man's body. Another story for another day. But at the age of 12, I got a deep insight into what I'm supposed to do in my life. And that came through a violent racist attack, right? And out of this situation, I felt humiliated. I felt very upset and pissed off and wanted revenge, right? On the third day, what I realized was a history lesson 6 months earlier, which was about the 100 Years' War. And the 100 Years' War in Palestine is still going on now. A question, kind of where Bim Bim's sitting, kid put his hand up, miss, 100 Years' War, yeah. It can't be the same people fighting, can it, miss? And I didn't understand the question. I kind of laughed with a few of the other people in the classroom. 3 days later, after this racist attack, I realized exactly what was meant by that question, and I knew the answer, which was it was passed down from generation to generation. It's not the same people fighting. So at that moment, I knew I had two choices, part of the problem or part of the solution. I knew. So for me, it was a very clear choice that I made at the age of 12. And then later on, I found out things like in my family tree are people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, all Jamaican Maroons in our family tree. I understood this challenge that I had with mental health, about feeling like I was a white guy in a black man's body, identifying more with Caucasian values and so on and so on and so on. You know, I had friends, you know, who shot in the head. I had friends who didn't make it in other ways, right? I saw people through mental health that had deep challenges that I thought life deserved to give them a break, but it didn't. And they still died. One lady, you know, hard case, and she was just finding her way to life, right? Next day, killed instantly. Her boyfriend paralyzed from the neck down. It was a motorbike incident, and she was a passenger. So I had stuff like this happen, and I saw things so clearly, which caused me then to become this event producer. As I mentioned, I think to you, 2,500 events. Over 1.5 million people in person, shaking hands with all of them, knowing in my phone at the age of 22, I had 16,624 numbers. 70% of them I knew, even the last conversation that we had. Right? So I had all of this feedback over the years. I have 18 kids or more sitting on my shoulder when times, if they ever get real bad, the kids in the children's home taught me so much. Very long answer to your short question, I know. Sorry about that, but not really. So I have so many people which have backed me, which I've stood on the shoulders of others to get where I am today, that I will never forget where I'm from. And I'm happy that I'll never forget that. So when it came, you know, to these events, becoming a speaker, an author, a book I wrote is called How an Abandoned Child Went from Nothing to Everything, published by New Holland. And so many stages that I've spoken on, and then SpeakuP Monday, right? The culmination of that, and seeing over the years the people that is impacted through listening, through being where you are now, asking a great question like the one you just asked, right? And seeing the impact that it's had, right? I will never stop this. It's a passion that became an obsession, and it's not even me doing it anymore, right? It comes through me, not from me, right? Which I'll explain to you another time. So what keeps me going? In many ways, it's an easy question to answer, but also a difficult one, because for me, I feel that this is what I was born to do. And I couldn't even speak as a kid. I had mechanical jaw issues. Even now, when I close my jaw, my tongue comes through my teeth. So I had a lisp, a stutter, confidence in the ground, like way deeper than the ground. So I had to overcome so much just to be here now, having this conversation. That another story for another day. So again, I live what I speak about. I breathe what I do, and I'm so very happy that I do it, because I know why I'm doing it, and I know why it's impactful. So for me, I will never stop. Great question. Thank you.
I mean, I think he said it all, right? But if I was just to summarize what he said, like, purpose, you know, is do you believe it to be your ultimate purpose, right? Because there's going to be times, as he mentioned, where questions arise, time get difficult, but for me that's the saving grace, being able to look back on what I've been able to accomplish, you know, and like how life has changed since I made that journey begin, right? Yeah, I just forewarned, like, get ready for a wild ride, you know. It will be hard at times. It will be hard. But if you're fueled by purpose and your own passion, as Robert has identified, nothing can stop you, you know. Nothing can.
Yeah. So for me, I was lucky I was answering the last one, so I can compile all the answer from the best, yeah. So for me, it's quite simple. So for me, is I second what DJ said, purpose, and also for me, purpose and meaning. That keep me stay with my belief, you know. So the purpose and meaning why I'm doing this, because I've been went through fearful of situation, desperate, frustration, anger when make this thing happening. But what I believe, what is my purpose and meaning? My purpose and meaning doing this thing is provide home for me, and finally that home become a home for everyone who need it, because I lost that home in the past during my own struggling and stuff. So I commit to myself. I said to myself, what you want to do with your rest of life? I want to create a home for myself, and finally that home become home for everyone who need it. So yeah, the one thing that keep me still standing up doing the same thing is that purpose and meaning.
Two things real fast. I wish they would have answered the question first, and I could have summarized mine. Now I know why. They chose me first. Damn, I loved you guys before. The second part of it is that, you know, like, the hardest thing sometimes is to see someone else in their zone of genius. Right? So why is it the hardest thing? Because oftentimes you go through doubt. Oftentimes you don't know what it is you want to do. And if I ask you, which I'm not going to, you know, do you know your purpose? And I know my purpose. And then people prioritize it and say, well, if you don't know your purpose, who are you? Right? And that's not fair, right? So when we started this talk show, the first 20 episodes were awful. Sorry, awful in some ways. Or really, like, honestly, Guzman over here, he'll tell you when we came to Tropical Nomad, trying to film this stuff, so inconsistent, not here but before. Honestly, like, when you're going through it, you know it's bad, right? But you're like, I don't know what else to do. You know, I don't think anyone doing it. And then when you look back, you realize that you weren't dreaming. It really was that bad. You really were that bad, right? But here's the thing, you realize that you just keep doing it, you know what I mean? And eventually you find ways to get better, you learn from your mistakes, and you keep going forward. So if it's a purpose that you don't know, experiment. You know, that there was 3 pillars of purpose, which I won't go into now, but one was, you know, do what lights you up. How do you know it lights you up? Because you're happy. You feel fulfilled when you're doing it, right? I'm not talking about the illegal stuff, by the way, in case some people look at me going like, okay, I see. No, not put that to the side. The stuff that's legal. You know, like, if you find that helping people with something, a beach cleanup, or, you know what I mean, volunteering at Bali Bersama Bisa, climbing a mountain and seeing someone's face, giving someone food, and it just lights you up. If you find that something, it's like the Icky Guide, right? Like, you know, write down 10 things that you love to do, right? Love to do. Might be running, might be sailing, might be climbing mountains, right? Whatever it is, write these things down, 10 of them. See if you can get to 10. Sometimes you get to more. The next section is then, you know, write down 10 skills that you have or can easily upskill to. Right? And if you don't know this one, ask your mom, your dad, your boyfriend, someone who'll be honest with you, though. Maybe don't ask your boyfriend who just wants to make you feel good. Ask someone who is just straight up, and they'll tell you, no, you're pretty good at that. So now you've got 10 things you love to do. You've got 10 skills that you can easily do or upskill to. Now you've got combine these two things together and come up with 10 activities, combining them, that maybe you can create an income from. Right? And you might find that you start to put these things together and it's like, oh, I didn't know that one. And you might have 10, you might have more. And then you go back and say, okay, well, these 10 things here, what is the lowest hanging fruit? And you might find that it's this one. So go out and do it. Try it. Try it for 2 months. If it works for you, great. Go further. If it doesn't, let it go. Go to the next one on the list. So what I'm saying is that if you don't know your purpose, it's okay. But just do something, you know, and by doing that Ikigai, that 10 things I love, 10 skills that I have or can easily upskill to, and 10 activities, combining these things that I can possibly monetize, then that's a great place to start. And you go through, and it, honestly, like, you'll find something that it hits you, and you're like, you know what? This is probably the thing that I would do whether I was being paid or not. And then probably you're in the area. You know, that's what I would also add.
I would just go one short statement. Wrong action is better than no action. That's it.
Love it. Love it. There you go. All right, last question coming up. AI. Yeah, this question. So, technology is coming in. AI is being used to service this market that is huge. It's having different results depending who you speak to. Do you see a future where Bali Bersama Bisa would integrate something like an AI that's trusted, that works, and so on, to helping or dealing with or serving more people as a solution to mental health?
Yeah, I mean, we're already looking at options of that in the call center, of having the the first interface of correspondence to be with some sort of AI that would refer them then on to the counselor and things like that. The issue we face a lot of times is we meet potential partners and potential developers, and they're like, yeah, I'm here to help. I'll help you build a platform. Ones gave us a bill for 500 million rupiah. All of a sudden, after we've dealt with them for months, you know, and going like, oh, it's only going to cost you 500 million. It's like, what? Wait a second. Didn't we talk about that you were going to help people? Like, where's this coming from, right? So at this point, like me personally, I mean, it's got to come from within the institution. We're not the only two decision makers inside the organization, but I'm like, at this point, wanting to pull back to the old-fashioned way of when a phone rings, somebody's going to pick it up, and we're going to have a responder on the other end. And then let me say, like within the community, when they first started with 2 cell phones back in 2021, a lot of the times when you would call, the person on the other end was blind. Yeah, so like I want to empower these marginalized communities to be on the other end of that hotline, receiving an income for helping others, you know, and that's the direction that I see ourselves going for the time being. Of course, to reach 300 million people, we're going to need some AI and some resources and basically everything out there that's available, you know.
All right, so now as we wrap up the show, I just want to thank everybody again for coming. Remember, we're going to do a photo next and then connect with people that earlier on, you know, let you know why they're here, right? You would have felt something for some of them, and you think, you know what, I want to speak to that person. It may be one of these 2 beautiful men. It may be someone else here in the audience, but I do recommend that you take that time. You've made it here. It's the hardest part you've done. Stay behind and connect with them, right? Closing question for you 2 fellas here is there anything left, and you've got about a minute to think about it, is there anything left that you would like to maybe discuss or to bring up or to mention, or is there something there that you want to reiterate, i.e. how to sign up for Freedom Summit number 4, right? Give them that one again. So just think about that. So next week we have, who remembers Melati Weeson? Yeah, there you go. Melati is a change maker of titanic proportions. She's Balinese. set up Bye Bye Plastic Bags. Youthtopia is an incredible organization that's global, that is about empowering young change makers in the world. She's open for President Obama. She's spoken at the UN multiple times, is a phenomenal woman. So next week, Malati will be on the show. Is that right? Yeah, October 13, which will also be my birthday next week. So come wish me happy birthday next week, which I turned some crazy age that I'll tell you next week what that is. My God, I can't believe it. I am older than I thought I was. So thank you again. A round of applause for Guzman, yourselves. A round of applause. Thank you so much, guys, for coming. Woo! As we have some closing statements, Brother DJ, then Bim Bim, if there's anything left that you would like to mention, and at the very least, how do people sign up for Freedom Summit 4?
I would just say, when I look around this audience, I see a lot of fit and capable people. Yeah. If you can walk, then you can walk up. Yeah. And the Freedom Summit is a bonding experience like none other. And basically, we'd love to have you come join us, whether it's for one mountain, camping, or all three mountains. I guarantee you this will become a core memory of a lifetime that you will never forget. You will not regret the decision of signing up nor participating. Yeah, that is one thing I can promise you. Yeah.
Yeah, from me is if you don't sign up to Freedom Summit 4, grab your phone, click Google and search for Freedom Summit 4. That will lead you to our landing page. Sign up now. It's unforgettable experience for myself.
And share it on social media. Go to their page. Least you can do is share it on your stories. There you go. Even if you don't take part, share it on your stories. Round of applause, everybody. Bali Bersama Bisa, DJ Denton, and Brother Bim Bim. Why I'm Bim Bim. Thank you very much. See you next week.